Hey, welcome to episode 114 of Fresh Air at 5. This week is the wrap up of my second week of spring break. Took it easy a little bit. You'll hear about that, as well as listen to some amazing podcasts. The one about failure really stood out to me, and I really like what Brian Martin had to say there. So, without further ado, here's episode 114, Fresh Air at 5. Here we go.
I'm Shanna Martin, host of the Tech Tools for Teachers podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned, and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Welcome to Fresh Air at 5, the podcast. I'm your host, Brian Carpenter. Fresh Air at 5 is my regular attempt to exercise by walking about my neighborhood, to take in podcast content, then reflect in an unedited video, which I finally post to my Twitter channel. This podcast will be a regular collection of the audio from these selfie videos. You can follow me on Twitter at FreshAir@5 or check out my website, briancarpenter.com, for other content I have created and collected. Hey, PLN Monday, March 21st, 2023. It's approaching 5 p.m., so Fresh Air at 5 is out getting some fresh air today. I did sleep in. It was so good this morning to sleep in. And I'm getting out for a walk this afternoon because I needed it. It's important to get some fresh air for me, get outside of my neighborhood, see the sky, feel the mist on my face, and be outside. All right, this afternoon as I'm walking, I listened to episode 76 of Science 360 podcast with Tim Stevenson. And Tim, it's been a while since I've listened to your podcast, and it's good to get back to listening. And people, if you don't listen to Tim's podcast, Science 360, I would encourage you to do so. He brings us science talk, he brings us science connections and things about nature and about bears and space and all kinds of wonderful things like that. And it's important for us to be aware of these things in the world that we live in today. Climate change is a reality. He talks about that, talks about our impact on these kinds of things. All right, so on episode 76 of Science 360 podcast, Tim talks with Lauren McLean, who is an elementary school teacher in Port Moody, British Columbia, which is probably about 60 kilometers to the west of where I am now. She teaches elementary grades 1 and 2 and has an outdoor classroom space that she goes to with her students every day except one this past year, which is fantastic. In the weather, in the cold, in the rain, in the sun, in the morning, in the afternoon. And she takes her kids outside to do learnings about math and science and nature and identify plants and animals and kinds of things like that, which is fantastic. So Lauren, big hand clapping here. She has a book called Me and My Sit Spot, which talks about sitting in a location and being observant. She also has a podcast called Mentoring Nature Connections. So that's a podcast to take out and listen to. So thanks so much, Tim and Lauren. Appreciated the conversation. People, take a listen to this episode. Fantastic and encouraging. Peace out. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Hey PLN, it's Wednesday, March 22nd, 2023, out for Fresh Air at 5, later in the morning, and my goodness, the sun is coming up behind me. Don't know if you can see it there. It's quite beautiful. It hasn't broken the horizon yet, but we're on the way to doing so. So this morning as I'm walking, I listened to episode, I think it's 68 of a New to Me podcast. So this is a New to Me podcast, Mentoring Nature Connections with Lauren McLean. I think episode 68. Correction, episode 32. But in this episode of January 20th of 2023, Lauren brings us her thoughts about teaching outdoor education with her students and getting her kids outside and learning about clouds and cloud formations and the patterning and all the things that happen with cloud formations with her grade 1 and 2 students. She's privileged to have an outdoor classroom space that she can venture to on a regular basis and take her kids outside to do some learning. Cloud formations, fantastic. They're all around us. We see them all the time. But do we pay attention? Well, she's teaching her kids to pay attention and be observant as little scientists and mathematicians and to make observations about such things. Don't take the clouds for granted. They tell us a lot about what's going on as far as weather-wise and possibly climate and things like that. So yes, Lauren, I appreciate hearing from you as you talked with Tim Stevenson recently on Science 360 podcast. So shout out to Tim Stevenson, and thanks for your podcast. It was cool to listen to. It's very short, people. It's a quick one. But you know what? There's a great song that she has that she plays at the very end about your sit spot and about stopping and paying attention to nature around you and the trees and the hills and all those matter of things. So yes, Lauren, appreciate that. I'd like to know the name of that song and who is the artist of that song, because that's a really grooving song. All right, that's all I got for right now. More podcasts to listen to. And Lauren, welcome to Fresh Air at 5. Okay, and bye. Lauren, can you send me a direct message, please, in Twitter? I'd appreciate that. Thanks so much. Bye-bye. One more thing for March 22, 2023, as I'm walking right now, I listened to Brian Martin on Teaching Champions podcast, episode 171, where he brings us a message about, the title of the podcast is, what is the message we send about failure? And talking with our students, what is that message about failure? Is failure an important part of learning? I agree that is a very important part of learning. I've watched in my learning over my life that without failure, I fail to learn. I would say that everything that I have learned has come as a result of struggle and failure, and things that are successful that I'm good at, I don't learn a whole lot from. For example, in high school, I was good at math. Did I learn much in math? I did. I learned lots of things, but do I recall and have those things be ever present for me? Not so much. I'm good at math. It's there. So I must have learned it. But was there a significant struggle? No. Was there failure? A little bit. More so English, though. I learned a lot of things in English about writing and composition that have stuck with me today because I have struggled and have failed in English in the past. So, Brian, I appreciate the message that you talk about. You talk about Sarah Barkley and how she talks about a story from her childhood growing up, that failure is not falling short, but true failure is not trying. And that was a message from her dad. You know what? It's true. It's so important that we try. Trying is more significant, I believe, and pushing hard and moving forward than being successful. Watching Formula One right now in the 2023 season, Mercedes-Benz is struggling, and they got their car design wrong over the summer, and they are really, really struggling, and they failed in the first couple of races. Toto Wolff, their team principal, talks about that being the worst day. Niki Lauda said, from success, we learn absolutely nothing. Don't know the context that Niki said that, but that's what I think. All right, project trying to your students. All right, peace out. Have a fab day. Bye-bye. One more thing for March 22nd, 2023. As I'm walking along here, I'm laughing because I was listening to episode 155 of Check This Out podcast with Ryan and Brian out of California as they bring us the Dirty Beard issue episode. And Dirty Beard. What's Dirty Beard about? You're going to have to listen to their episode to find out what Dirty Beard is. But one day, boys, I'm going to show up and I'm going to bring up the topic of Dirty Beard and hand you a drink, because you're going to talk to me when we get together. Of course we're going to talk. You mentioned me on your podcast as, I'm from Moose Jaw, Canada. I'm not. I'm actually from the West Coast, and Moose Jaw is a little ways from the West Coast. But as we're, connecting, you said, hey, maybe Brian Carpenter will be there at game night on Friday night, which was last week. But I was not there due to funds you know, the conversion from Canadian to US dollars, you know, was just not great, and I was going to book late, so it was going to cost me way too much money to come to Spring Q. But I'm going to maybe save some dollars and coming year. So I'm looking forward to that, and we will sit down and have a beverage and chat and connect in real time and real space. All right, you guys talked about different sessions and trending. You know, we got AI sessions that were happening at Q. That's a trend, maybe because, like you said, Ryan, that things have plateaued as far as educational technology, with people actually all on board, or many people on board. And you know, the learning curve is kind of flattening out right now, because it's all exploded during COVID, and with the emergency online teaching that we did and getting kids into platforms, blah, blah, blah. Okay, anyhow, so yeah, guys, I really enjoyed your episode. I did listen to the very end as you were working on the show notes that say there are no show notes. So I did listen all the way to the very end, and I'll say the secret word, Blue Diamond. Peace out, boys. Have a fabulous one. I'm glad you had a good Spring Q. Okay, bye. The last thing for March 22, 2023, wrapping up my walk today. It's been a beautiful walk, about plus 4 or 5 degrees Celsius, so crisp, but we got ourselves a blue sky, bluebird day here. It's going to be absolutely just beautiful and gorgeous out, so I'm so excited about that. Got able to get out and get for a walk this morning. The sun has come up over there, and enjoying this morning. All right, this morning I listened to Ignite EdTech podcast with Craig Kemp, and episode 119 has Craig talking with Andrew Laurie, the founder of Rolama, which is a grammar and punctuation gamified learning space that he has created over the past 4 years, coming out of the grade 6 classroom, and has learned about web development and about providing an opportunity for students in his international school in Shanghai to learn grammar and punctuation outside of the classroom and to make it fun. So Andrew, that's awesome to hear your story. Similar to Craig's, as he has developed the EduSparks interface, which is a educational training and course space that is good for educators to be learning. Some things I heard that were really important in this. Craig, you were talking about how to develop a business and how to get going on an idea. And it's about crazy ideas and about recording those crazy ideas and having a place to go back and look at ideas when you think about things and you have a problem. And how are you going to solve that problem? What are you going to do to find a solution to that problem? And that's the same thing that Andrew has come across as he is developing Rolama, is that there's a problem at hand, and how and what can he do in his space that has exploded into a business now for him. So people, be open-minded. Andrew said, you know, it's important to do something on a regular basis that scares you. Try something that scares you and pushes you outside of your comfort zone. So I've got a few things that are on the go right now for myself that are like that. I've got the Rodecaster Pro 2 podcast rig that I have to figure out how to use, and I've got some graphic design things, like I got to figure out how to do cut contours for some graphics that I got to get stickers cut and made. All right, that's all I got. Have a fabulous day. Okay, bye-bye. Hey, PLN, happy March 24th, 2023, Friday afternoon, and it was a lazy day today. I didn't get out for my walk. I stayed home. I listened to a podcast while I was doing dishes and cleaning the hood fan, and it was a good, relaxing day, so I'm going to get back to regular walking on Monday. Yes, so in episode 115, I'll be back to walking in my regular, because we're back to school, and it has been a good spring break. Has it been crazy exceptional? No, we just had a low-key time. As you know, you'd heard, I was still getting over a cold, feeling a lot better now, and it is Friday, so I'm thankful it's Friday. Looking forward to going back to school, actually. Well, not really, but I am kind of. Okay, anyhow, today I listened to episode 100 and I can't remember. Episode 133 of Got Tech, the podcast, titled How EdTech Can Support Personalized Learning. And Eric and Nick, they bring us an episode full of great content, some theory and thoughts about how EdTech can support personalized learning as far as giving opportunities for creative tools and portfolio type things and other means of students expressing their voice about a topic, as well as a lot of pedagogy about how personalized learning is important in our world today, and how you can get started doing so. So take a listen to Got Tech, the podcast, episode 132, as the boys bring us 132, maybe 133. I can't remember what I just said. Bring us a great episode doing this. So thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well in New Jersey, and I'm glad you had a great conference at NGESC, I think. All right. That's all. Carpenter out. Bye. As my one word for 2021 is appreciate, I appreciate you giving me a listen as I've created this podcast experience for you. It's a unique Blinkist or Coles Notes version of the content I take in, like a highlight reel, so that you can hopefully find other interesting podcasts you may not have considered before. I've recorded the specific podcast episodes in the show notes for your learning convenience. Please subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming episodes. And if you enjoyed this podcast and its format, share it with someone else. Tweet about your experience or give it a review on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen to podcasts. Fresh Air at 5 can also be found on Voice Ed Radio. Your voice is right here, and on the Education Podcast Network, Podcasts for Educators, Podcasts by Educators. I hope you have a fantastic day and get some fresh air before the day is out, and take care of yourself because you're worth it.